Good morning. My name is Eli Howes. Can you please tell me your full name?
My full name is Mustaffa, so please just call me by my first name, Mustaffa.
In this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about the area you live in. Do you like the area you live in now?
Well, absolutely yes. I live in the capital of Uzbekistan, which is Tashkent. It is located in the northeastern part of the country. I really love living here. It's both modern and traditional. That's the reason.
Are people in your area friendly?
Oh my God, definitely yes. Uzbek people are extremely friendly and loyal to each other, especially to those coming from culturally diverse backgrounds. My Uzbek friends, they are always down to earth in front of me. So yeah.
How has your area changed in recent years?
Well, it has changed dramatically. It has become more modernized. Compared to compared to 2015, 16. Nowadays we have more skyscrapers, we have more fancy cafes, we have more modern buildings, and so much more besides. And also the education system has changed a lot. Nowadays we have more international universities and colleges, thanks to the government.
Let's move on. Let's talk about riding bikes. Did you ride a bike when you were young?
When I was a child, yes, I did ride a bike a lot. I was pretty much a big fan of riding bicycles. It was not only healthy for my physical health, but also for my mental health. A healthy body is a healthy mind. So yeah.
And did you travel to school by bike?
Actually, no. Went to school on foot. It was just a couple of minutes on foot. Therefore, I used to like the feeling of talking to my friends on the way. Yeah.
Do you think more people will ride bicycles in the future?
I hope so, because they are because they are environmentally friendly. I hope people will realize the importance of riding bicycles so that they can do some benefit to the environment and the ecosystem. So, yeah, God knows what's going to happen in 20 years, 30 years from now, but yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
And would you ever choose to travel by bicycle these days?
Honestly speaking, no. It's a pretty more challenging because I get sweaty and produce natural body smell. That could be one reason I don't ride a lot of bicycles these days as I used to. But I would love to. Yeah,
Let's move on. Let's talk about bags. Do you usually carry a bag?
I don't. I might carry a wallet with a credit card in it and some cash, but I don't usually like whether it's a backpack or a handbag. I don't do that. It's kind of uncomfortable, and cumbersome. So yeah.
What kind of bags do you use when you're traveling?
While traveling, if I had to choose, I would probably go for a backpack as it's more comfortable and convenient compared to handbags and other types of bags.
Did you use a backpack when you were a child?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I used to go to school on a daily basis. I used to go to different places with my friends. I would have like different backpacks, different handbags, wallets, and so forth. Yeah.
Would you ever give someone a bag or a backpack as a gift?
Well, it really comes down to like it depends on the person. If the person has to have a new backpack, then yeah, that's an ideal gift. Why not? But if the person is not really keen on the backpacks like me, I don't think that's a good idea.
We're going to move on to part two, and in this part, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Alrighty, so the successful entrepreneur that I highly look up to is Murad Nazarov. Murad Nazarov is a tall, dark-haired man who is not only hardworking but a very much successful business person in Uzbekistan. He's got like broad shoulders, dark-haired man, as I had mentioned, and heart-shaped face, and pretty much tall man and very handsome. Murad Nazarov is the founder of the company called Murad Buildings, which constructs residential houses, skyscrapers, like the next one, which is the tallest building in Central Asia, and some small hotels and hostels. There are many, many reasons why Murad Nazarov is highly successful in the business world. Well, number one, Murad Nazarov, I think his like monthly budget is like over $50 million in Uzbekistan. It's a very high, believe it or not, it's very high. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie. Number two, he's got a healthy work-life balance. What I mean by that? Well, he has over 10 children, and he has adopted nine or something like that, 9 children from culturally diverse backgrounds. And guess what? That's the clear definition of being not only successful in the business world, but also in life, generally speaking. A lot of people look up to not only me, and how do I know this person? He's a very active user of social media, including Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and so on. He has a huge following, and I am one of his followers. In the future, I hope I'll meet Murad Nazarov in person and have a fruitful and healthy conversation. So this is the person I want.
Thank you. Do you think it's likely that you will meet him in the future?
Absolutely, yes. It comes down to confidence. I'm confident with my skills. I'm confident with myself. It's going to happen. Yeah.
So, we've been talking about a successful business person that you admire, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions related to this. Let's consider, first of all, what makes somebody successful at business. What kind of characteristics do you think are essential for a successful business person?
There are some characteristics that are highly important if somebody wants to be successful in the business world. Well, overall, well, number one is being agreeable, very high in agreeableness. Why is that? Who likes disagreeable people? Who easily gets aggressive or becomes argues with people? Nobody likes them. So it's very much important to be very high in agreeableness. Number two, confidence. If somebody wants to be the leader of a company, that person has to have some level of confidence. These are the two characteristics that I think Murat Nazarov has, as I have mentioned in part two.
Although, yes, it's important to be agreeable, for example, in business meetings, but don't entrepreneurs and business people also have to be quite harsh and confrontational, for example, when they're giving instructions or delegating tasks to the people that work for them?
Yeah, right on. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it also boils down to like the balance. It's important to be agreeable, but from time to time, because it's not okay to constantly push like employees to work beyond like boundaries. You have 24/7. It's not okay. Especially in the 21st century, things are getting more flexible and more convenient. It's very important to strike a balance between being agreeable and disagreeable. I think in this way, a good leader can represent himself in the business world.
You mentioned being a business person in the 21st century. Do you think there's a difference between being a successful business person now compared to the past, say 100 years ago?
During our parents and grandparents' time, that was totally different. Well, hypothetically speaking, if I could go back to like 1940s, 1930s, I would love to do that and see what's happening in the business world. But it's impossible. But according to my parents, the business world was different. People would act according to ethos of the companies. You know what I'm talking about? Like do that, roger that, and that's it. But these days, that's not the case. As you have mentioned, like it's also important to be disagreeable from time to time. Yeah, things are getting comfortable. People are getting weaker and weaker. I'm talking about characteristics, but talking about like business worlds and the factors, I could go on and on, but I'll stop here. Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to business success, what's more important, hard work or luck?
I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but hard work always pays off. And that's the quote by Jordan Peterson, who is a Canadian psychologist, psychiatrist, and therapist. And I have also personally experienced the hard work pays off To give you one personal example, I did not take days off for 8 months and studied like every single day without taking days off. And guess what happens? I did not only exceptionally well in my exams, but also I academically surpassed a lot of my study partners. What I'm trying to say is hard work always pays off, and it's pretty much important in every area of life, not only business.
Let's talk about working in a team. Do you think that the same skills that help you to become a successful business person also help you to be a good team member, or are those skills different?
Well, let's imagine this like if I'm a very successful person but a very disagreeable, I cannot be a good teammate because there has to be some healthy reciprocity between team members. It's pretty much important. If I go into arguments pretty much easily, if I go into physical fight easily, which is pretty much common in the business world, or if I could get easily aggressive, and it's not likely going to make me successful in our team. So that's the case. I think some other characteristics must be developed. Cooperation is important, being cooperative, being generous, being extremely friendly, and so forth. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking test. Very,
Thank you so much.
very nice speaking test. How do you feel?
I felt pretty much nervous in the part one. I had expected that I would do pretty much well, but yeah, things happen.
Yeah, it was a great speaking test. I'd say the two strengths of yours are your fluency and your pronunciation. You've got amazing pronunciation.
Not, I used a lot of body language. I think body language is important because the examiner sees like, oh my God, so many students every single day, especially in Uzbekistan, the same Uzbeki faces over and over again. Examiner wants to see something that is different, that is exciting, that
Yeah.
is unusual. And
If I can just interrupt, I feel that people would learn that very well from you. It was interesting. I found myself kind of nodding with you a lot while you were speaking, which is actually slightly unusual for me, but it's also an indication that I was very engaged. So as the examiner, I was very engaged with what you were saying and how you were saying it. And I think that lots of people can watch your part two, especially, and learn a lot from your part two. I really liked that how you structured your answer and how you really engaged the examiner through eye contact, through gesture, through body language, and also through rhetorical questions.
thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. I hope it's going to benefit a lot of IELTS candidates.
Yes. So for this particular test, I would be giving you 8.5, and your strong suit would be the pronunciation, also for your fluency. Although sometimes there were answers that kind of trailed off rather than expanding, but most of the time your answers were very well developed for fluency. And then the eights would be for grammatical range and accuracy, just because there are some slips and often there are missed articles, and lexical resource. Sometimes you'll have like a chunk of language, but it'll be used slightly inappropriately. But
Yeah.
an absolutely incredible score. Really, really impressive speaking test. You should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. I do run a channel on Telegram. I try to spice it up. So I not only send all the IELTS materials, but also my IELTS journey. It's called IELTS with Mustaffa, double F, on Telegram. And I have created like my study area with sticky notes. I think there are like over 1,000 sticky notes in my bedroom, and it's helped me dramatically, like massively, to bump up my speaking scores to this like 8.5, even higher. So the students can see that, can learn a lot of things, and also I release a lot of videos about how to study more because I used to study like for 12 hours a day, from 6 hours to 12 hours a day. I still do that. So yeah, thank you.
You've done incredibly. Your English is at a very high level. There's so much that students can learn from watching your performance, particularly in part two, also in part three, great in part one. And also just your mannerism and charisma is something that students can learn a lot from. So big thank you for coming on.